Hello, hello, and welcome to Hong Kong House of Cards for October 14th, 2015. And today, Fang and Zhu happen to be in the Garusept checking on a particular kinfolk, and Rodger is on his way because he has to be let into the sept because it's a sept.
Well, of course, Roger will make himself known and offer a
Yeah,
offer a polite greeting. And
there's a rather heavy built There's a rather heavy-built man in the front handing out flyers for the church, mostly because they still have to operate it as a church. And he looks you over and he says, "Oh, I remember you. You were here earlier." He says, handing you a flyer.
thank you.
It's the worst. It's the worst marketed flyer you've seen, so that they can have the attendance of normals down on Sundays. It's it looks like they went out of their way to make it a really crappy flyer.
Yeah, he'll
It's
just
and he says, "Would you like to come in? I think we're having a Bible reading service today.
oh yes please.
Any reason you're coming in here besides just Jesus?"
I I wanted to inquire after the health of the young lady I helped the other day.
He nods. She's sleeping it off downstairs.
I thought so. I just thought I would pay her a visit and see how she was doing.
Yeah. She spent the night at home after the thing, and then we called her back to make sure there were no ill effects.
Hmm.
And he steps aside, letting you in.
And I will thank him.
Don't make a habit of it. This is a sept.
Um, I just look at him very politely and Iron will.
Yeah,
Um,
it's he's just saying you're not a werewolf. Don't come here too often. Bye.
it
Basically.
just looks very politely, very cucumbery. Um,
So
and
he's let you in.
yeah, that's fine. So I will go in and offer some polite introduction to some people and
Uh,
myself as introduce myself as Roger Crispin of the Wulong, and
uh, they seem they the looks of your entrance range from annoyed to indifferent, but they don't stop you anywhere. Down the stairs, there's down the stairs is where all the interesting things happen. Uh, It's separated into several rooms. One of them is communal housing, and that's where the rest of us are.
I will actually look to someone who seems to be in charge and um
Of
re
if you ask for who's in charge.
well I make an inquiry because I don't want to go down there without permission. I'm I'm being polite here. Like I'm
Okay, so you're pointed to an office, glass-walled office, where it says where the normal nameplate has been taken out, but underneath is scrawled Rachel Alpha. One moment. Yes, please. But yeah, it says scrawled behind where the normal nameplate would be is Rachel Alpha, and she's doing work on her desk, and she looks up and does a double take on you, and then gestures for you to come in.
And before I do so, I will offer a bow and
Yes,
very quietly close the door behind me. Good
and
afternoon.
she nods without getting up and says, "I am Rachel Tenenbaum, Alpha of the Guru Sept of the Guru Sept of Eternal Light."
I am honored to I am honored to make your acquaintance. My name is Rodger Chrisman. I'm an apprentice of the Wulong. And
She doesn't nod again, and she doesn't smile. She says, "What can I do for you?"
I'll set one of my cards on the table. I'm I came to I came to pay my respects to the young lady that we helped a few nights ago.
She
And
nods. My son is tending to her downstairs. I would not make your stay a long one. It's very rare we accept any non skin changers into the sept.
I understand, and I mean no harm or disrespect to you and yours.
Especially since one of the House of Pentacles turns out to have been heavily worm tainted. And I'd hate to have to close the sept to your entire house.
I was not aware of that until the evening in question.
She nods, and she gestures that you can leave now, basically.
And I'll take a
Sorry
step
to keep
back
going
and
loud right now.
I'll I'll take a step back and offer a bow before excusing myself. And having received permission, I guess, I'll head downstairs.
Okay. Uh, just the girl is being tended to by Brian Tenenbaum, who's the Sept Right Master, and
Well, not that I would know that title, but
no, but you can see the family resemblance to the woman upstairs. Uh, he's got he's got her hair color and her jawline.
um, I will.
And
I
I
will.
think he was the one that we spoke to before, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's also the guy who you spoke to, gave you the mission.
Oh, um. Well, I'll politely wait for him to finish. I don't want to barge in out of out of nowhere.
And he's finished his examination. He says, "Okay, I'm going to check on you in an hour. Don't you move, young lady." And he goes away.
And I will I will give him a polite bow and inquire as to whether it would be all right for me to visit.
He shrugs, as long as she doesn't leave the sept, and goes off. And Fang then goes to Rodger and goes, "Hiya, lawyer man."
Hello, miss. It's very nice to see you again.
It's always nice to see
And
me.
and and he just smiles good naturedly. How are you this afternoon?
A bit bored. I'm probably gonna be. I'm probably gonna do something exciting tomorrow now that the heat's off.
Oh, um, anything you'd like assistance with?
Fang looks you over and says, "How well can you lie?"
Uh, Roger thinks about it for a moment.
One moment.
Um,
Yes, dear. Okay.
Lying specifically, I'm, I don't like to do it, although we attorneys are often accused of doing so a lot. Um,
She shakes her head. No, no, no. I need to start a long con, you see.
a long con.
I need to convince some people that I'm someone I'm not. Right up until they hand me some goods. And then I need to convince them that something went wrong and to slip away with the goods and make them happy they gave it.
I see. Um,
Yes. So I need a someone or a group of someones who are very capable of deceiving people.
well, I, I can help provide some form of paperwork
Uh,
if
Paperwork's better if it's not actually right. You see, the problem with doing it right is that then it can show up in court and can get traced, and then Fang's obviously done this before. She knows the ins and out of this. It's so it's like no, no. What you need is you need paperwork that's almost but not quite the right paperwork.
well, let me see. I could, I might be able to provide you with something.
Well, what I
I
need is I need a group of people who look good in cop uniforms and can lie.
um, well, I'm not actually that bad at it. I mean, out of character, I've got like a 3 in manipulation, and and a and a and a 4 in law. So,
Yeah, it's not the legalese stuff. It's I need people who can show up in cop uniforms, fake kill me, and
uh,
then say that I've been accused of fraud and
oh,
that they and that if they had large sums of money on them then they'd have been arrested. And they're like, "Boy, I'm so glad that I turned over that large sum of money." And so they get
I'm I'm not sure if that would necessarily be my area. I apologize.
Oh, it's no problem. I'll find my own crew, he says, grinning.
No. Um, After a moment, Roger will politely disengage and go over to the young lady and sit sit down beside her and just inquire gently, how are how are we holding up this afternoon?
A bit better.
That's good. I'm I'm glad. Is is there anything in which I might be of assistance to you, miss?
No, no. Thank you for checking, though.
Not at all. Um, if if something does come up, and he'll he'll produce another another card. Please don't hesitate to call me.
Thank
And
you.
it's quite all right.
Thank you.
and he'll 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 sit with her in companionable silence for a couple of minutes, and then he'll politely
Well,
excuse himself.
before you politely excuse yourself, Fang's gonna show up and she's gonna start dealing cards, and she's gonna grin.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Um,
Oh, oh,
you get to
once in a
choose what you
while.
roll, but Fang's proposing that they play a couple of hands of poker,
Okay.
and Fang is rolling because she's going to cheat. Of course she is. Would you expect anything else?
Okay, well, you do that first, and then I'm gonna see if I can spot her, and then I'm going to do like a dex manipulation, or sorry, I'm just sorry. What would it be to like actively try your best to play cards, like intelligently?
Oh, that would be. There's a lot of ways you can go about it. First off, you can straight up take gambling as a secondary,
I didn't
but
realize that.
you could also do wits enigmas. You
Okay.
could do you could do intelligence science to count cards. There's a bunch of things you can do, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Fang, in the meantime, is doing dex and subterfuge, hiding cards up her sleeves, shit like that.
Can I roll the perception alertness?
Yeah,
Okay. Just checking. Okay. That's 5 dice. Oh, you sneaky person, you. Just a moment. I'm gonna get my dice stream up. 5 dice, I think. Ba-dunk. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I? I'm
you
sorry. I
did
didn't.
d20s.
Sorry. Hmm. My bad. I hate ones.
Yeah,
Either way, um, she she gets it past me. So that's 2 successes for the attempt, but she gets this one past me. What am I going to do? I think I'm going to do an intelligence. Um,
you can
just a
do
minute.
wits enigmas. You can do intelligence science. You can do. It all depends on how you're playing.
Yeah.
If you're, you can technically do manipulation, subterfuge, and bluff.
Um. Let me see. I think I'm gonna do. I just have
Fang's
to.
not doing that because that would be nowhere near remotely fair. It's
I
more fair
think.
for her to cheat than to bluff.
I think I'm gonna do intelligence. Sorry, it was intelligence science.
hmm
Okay,
That's
I'm
for
gonna do
counting
that.
cards. Yeah,
Yep.
that's for counting cards. That means that you're keeping track of things and you know the probabilities and you're playing by probabilities.
Yep. Um, I know it's probably a
So
long shot, but does research count?
no, you do
Okay.
not have the time to go pick up your phone and
I
look
just
up all of the
okay.
probabilities and numbers for poker.
I'm just finding out.
Unless you have a history of playing poker, no.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, well, that's a little better. I didn't get a 1 this time. So she wins the first hand.
One moment, you guys. Yeah. Okay. All right.
I
So
only got I
yeah.
only got
So
2.
Fang's cheating beats your counting cards.
Yep. So
So Fang will take your money, and she'll take her money, and then she'll add her money, and then she'll make it rain and dance away because she doesn't really need the money.
what the? Well, whatever. I'd
Fang
take the
just
money.
grins and
It's
says,
free money.
Yeah, Fang just grins at Rodger and says, "The best things in life are free. One of the best things is taking other people's money."
if she's just gonna make the money rain, I'm just gonna whatever. I'll take it, I guess.
Yeah, she's basically just was playing for fun and just was taking your money in the process.
He just smiles and says, "Good game, good game."
One moment. I'm not a big fan of iced tea in general.
I think it tastes amazing.
It tastes all right.
So you drink it all?
I'll probably drink it all, yeah.
No, probably do better. This is
I'll
shit.
drink it all, yeah.
Okay.
Love you too, dear. Anyways, so back.
So he'll just smile and say, "Good game,"
Mm-hmm.
and then he'll politely excuse himself. And the young lady has access to an attorney, um, if she needs one.
And that's right around the time that Brian comes back to do sense worm on her again. He's planning on basically doing it once an hour for a whole day until he's satisfied that.
Speaking of, you will probably come and have a quiet word with Brian.
He'll stand aside with Jew.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she'll basically yeah, like I said, find him when he's not busy, even before or after sense worm.
Yeah, he does look at her kind of strangely because she pings to sense worm.
She does. Very slightly, but yes, she does.
Yeah, she doesn't ping like Michael did.
No, she pings like a Noctana.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to check that you were okay following the incidents earlier.
I can handle myself. An upstart red talon does not faze me.
Of course not. Yeah. She says, of course not, in a way that is like, yeah. Because he did actually get intimidated by the red talon. But,
Hey, I wasn't there for that part of the scene.
Yeah.
I'm playing a character, so
sorry about that. But
it's
yeah.
fine. He says it doesn't faze me. I'll be okay.
Yeah. And her response will just be, of course not, and a small nod. Should there be anything that I could do, or that the Engyokai could do to help you should matters progress poorly, do let me know.
This is an internal matter. I'll be referring him to our den mother.
She'll nod with a small smile.
Don't ask me why Mac prefers being called a mother.
We all know who the fiercest of fighters are. Whether the strongest or not, we all know who the fiercest are.
He nods and says, "But yeah, if anyone can beat sense into a young upstart, it's Mac O'Malley."
If he can beat even the smallest amount of sense into Adam, I'm sure he can do so with one of your kind. And she'll smile, give a small bow. That was basically the entirety of that conversation. Just, are you okay? Yep. Just let you know that we are here.
At this
He
point,
doesn't seem. He doesn't seem. He only seems slightly annoyed when he has to say it's an internal matter.
Yeah. No, she just takes that with a nod.
Yeah.
Um, she assumed it was, but she wanted to make sure that the offer was there.
Hmm.
But she'll look over and presumably see Fang and Rodger and smile
Yeah.
and nod to them both.
Fang.
and
Fang smirks at Zhu, and she says, "Hey, we just got done playing cards." And she pulls a card out of her sleeve and is obvious about it and says, "Rodger needs to learn to play better."
um, to which Roger's gonna just smile and shake his head and offer offers you a plain smile in return.
Mhm.
He he seems very friendly.
And you will smile and with the small kind of head nod of the small kind of nod that you do when you're trying not to laugh.
And
That kind of a smile and a nod of acknowledgement
and
slash amusement.
and and, and Roger's just gonna add in very open. Go ahead, get it out of your system. Even I'm starting to laugh.
Well, then I've done my job.
She's only going to smile wider because she is very Chinese, and yeah, she doesn't laugh out loud very often.
So
Fang then looks at Rodger and she says, "So, I was wondering, do mages have any fun stories about how the world was created?"
um, it wouldn't be against the rules for me to share anything
There's no
that my
unified. Okay. There's no unified Wulong theory of how the world was created.
um actually Roger's just gonna say very simply the Tao and the Jade Emperor. Or
Hmm.
I'm sorry he he'd probably use the aug- august personage
Okay.
and
She does.
the
Yeah.
and
Fang goes,
the
"Ooh,
em- Emerald Mother.
ooh, yes, we know those." Well, I've been collecting that particular story from everybody because this is a unique city to do that with. So I'm going to trade you how we think the world started.
Ooh, please. And he 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 leans forward, genuinely interested.
Coyote was the first. Remember that. Coyote was the first. And he found the black emptiness quite boring. So he created the earth and he created the moon just so he'd have somewhere to run and someplace and something to light the night sky so he could run all day and all night. And then he found running on the barren earth was tiring without anyone like him to share it with. So he created all the plants and all the animals on the earth. But the moon thought that he was making her sister more beautiful than she was. So Coyote has been spent has so we as Coyote's children spend every night singing to the moon to make up for his trick.
Oh, and I'm I think that that's a very beautiful story, and I'm sure that Luna very much appreciates it.
She smirks and says, "Care to sing with me sometime?"
I I'm not very skilled, but certainly why not?
And she grins.
I'm sure the white-faced lady will appreciate the sentiment. It is, after
Yeah.
all, whilst to make up for the trick, also about appreciating her beauty and reminding her of
Indeed,
it.
indeed,
Well,
indeed. And you don't have to be very good at it. You just have to sing with heart.
mm, well, I'm certain that
It might be the most useless Captain Planet power, but it's still a very important one.
Out of character,
I beg
the
to
hell
differ.
is
The
the most.
heart is not a weak power at all.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
yeah.
couldn't help it with the reference. I got a red line. That sorry.
No, no,
I
Excuse Latriani.
no, but no, but Roger actually says I beg to differ. Heart is not the
I redlined that line. I'm sorry, out of character. I couldn't help it.
yeah.
no. Let's use it. Let's use it.
But yeah, out
There's
of
no way
character,
Fang
the
knows what
Hellet is the
Captain
most
Planet
useless.
is.
Oh, fine.
The Hellet is the
She
most
is,
useless.
yeah,
If
she
Hart
is.
was not did not also have a conscience, basically mind rape everyone. But yes,
Yeah,
carry
it's
on with the scene.
But
yeah, it's okay with Fang. Here's the thing: as Fang is literally 2.5 years old, there's no way she knows what Captain Planet is.
oh, she's a 2-year-old little girl.
No, she's Latriani. She had her first change when she was a year old because she was born a coyote.
Yep.
Oh,
It's the same way that Cases the Steel is only 3, and Pelagia's like, why doesn't he have to have black marks on his hat?
I get it. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, it's Fang's 2.5.
Oh, she's a puppy.
Yep, yep, yep.
But and Roger will be very keen on the idea. As in a way, and I want to share this so that the world knows where his head's at. In a way, he feels like he'd be honoring the Tao in this way because by acknowledging the other forms that it takes, it actually draws him closer to finding his place within the Tao.
Hmm.
Such as it is.
And you must remember, a bowl is most useful when it is empty.
So when might be convenient for
Any
us to?
night, I'll be at the Hengiokai Sept, which is that big nature preserve over that way, and I'll be singing towards the moon every night.
I have not yet been able to make introduction. I don't know if I would necessarily be welcome there.
I'll spend the next week near the parking lot doing it. How's that?
Fair enough. Though I would very much like to make introductions.
I'll introduce you to Sunai sometime.
Thank you. And on that note, my dear ladies, I feel I must take my leave, as I do not wish to stay over long.
The Garu do have their own concerns regarding the privacy of their sept.
I can certainly understand the value of keeping in maintaining that which is sacred. And after all, not all humans are cognizant of the value of nature.
Not all name breakers are cognizant either, she says, looking at Rodger. Ask your master what that one means sometime. And she gives him a hug and
I
picks his she gives him a hug and picks his pocket, and she doesn't care if you spot it, so don't worry. And
and
she tosses you your wallet back and says, "Watch your things."
and and actually, what he does is he takes the wallet and and he he tickles her cheek. Stop picking my pocket, you!
Oh, if I really want your things, I'll just play you in poker again.
Next time I'm gonna watch and make sure you don't cheat. And by
Oh,
the
I can.
way,
Oh, nobody can beat me when I bluff either, she says, grinning broadly.
The Newisha are always smiling at life.
We laugh at danger, we smile at life, and we cheat to win.
for the
You know,
record,
And even when they do not cheat, life smiles back at them.
for for the record, what was the term you used? Name breaker?
name breaker. It's the term that the guru call you.
Yeah, I figured as much, believe it or not. But believe it or not, we are still human beings, and
You're
and we
close. Yeah, Fang's gonna
and
say you're close enough.
and we are all part of the Tao.
Fang will nod at that, and she's gonna say, "There's history between your kind and their kind." She says, look, nodding towards the nearest guru.
I Of that I have no doubt.
Though to be honest, there is history between the Yarrow and most people.
Yeah, our history is kind of interesting. Fang says with a smirk. She
All
looks at
history,
she looks
all
at
history
Ju
is
and
interesting.
she says, we sided with them in the big war because they promised to leave us alone if we didn't do anything, so we didn't do anything. It wasn't until they had to sacrifice one of their own tribes to stop the worm that's when we turned on them.
Hmm.
So we didn't join. We joined the war way late.
It would appear that every um every faction has its glories and its mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's key for this current generation to understand the history, but trying to make something far better out of it.
Hell, in this town we work with leeches, and I'm perfectly all right with that. People are starting to look at Rodger funny, so Fang wraps an arm around his shoulder and blocks
Uh,
with him out.
this time he's gonna
He's,
block
she's not
her.
picking. She's not picking his pocket.
He he
He's just
doesn't.
kind of draping an arm over his shoulder so that we all walk out together and basically saying it's okay, he's with me.
Yeah.
And he'll do the same. He'll just gently put his arm around them both arms.
And but as soon as they're out, Fang's gonna say, so
Even the Kitsune, the youngest of the Emerald Mother's children, have made their mistakes in the past.
mhm.
There is a saying that I've become very fond of, especially after beginning to learn the ways of the Wulong. To err is human, to forgive divine.
Fang nods. Well, it is our place in Gaia's circle, she says, pointing to herself, to teach by playing tricks. The Guru have a law. Always fight the worm, wherever it dwells, wherever it may breed. The Nuisha have a similar rule, she says, grinning very slowly. And when her grin is as wide as it can go, she says, always prank the worm.
And almost as a playful jab, Rodger will nod, and then after a dramatic moment, he'll turn to her and just raise an eyebrow. So is that why you picked my pocket? You think
Yes.
I'm a...
I think you need to keep a closer eye on your things.
And you think I'm something of the worm, I guess.
No.
And
I teach lessons to those who Fang says teach lessons to those who will learn.
he 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 has a very broad smile when he says that, though.
Yeah. Fang is explaining though, and she's being polite about it. Another of Coyote's laws. Teach lessons to those who would learn. Okay?
I will certainly do my best.
Although,
So
the Gary do not want our help, if an opportunity should arise to help with teaching certain individuals about how to behave in the city, I'm sure you'll find your calling.
Fang nods and says someone needs to learn humility, it seems.
I apologize. I couldn't help but overhear. You had mentioned something about someone trying to intimidate the right master, I think is...
Yeah. We got a Fang looks at Rodger and says, "There's a tribe of werewolves called Red Talons,
Ah,
and they think the big war I mentioned was a great idea, and want to not only go back to that but kill all the humans."
hmm. So it's sort of like werewolf Gestapo?
Not like werewolf Gestapo, more like werewolf Terminators.
Oh, okay.
And they
Except,
think that
except,
they think that the only people who should be around are more werewolves. And they're all born wolves, not humans. They're all born wolves. And wolves don't think right. And they think very aggressively.
well, I wouldn't say they don't think right. They think very primally.
Yeah, they think in terms of position and food and
Mm,
fight.
mm.
Uh, have you met our general? She says, looking between Zhu and Rodger.
Um, are you referring to Steel?
No, 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 no. I'm referring to Swim Swim Hungry.
I'm fairly certain that you will have met him, but I haven't met him in.
No, Zhu would have met him, but she's
Yeah.
looking mostly at Rodger. She was looking at Zhu to establish our between herself and Zhu.
Mm-hmm.
I have not yet had the honor of making their acquaintance.
Mm. He's a Rokia. Rokia are weresharks. They're a lot like Red Talons in that regard.
Fascinating. Truly fascinating. Well, I've always understood that sharks um are are actually naturally peaceful, and they only attack either when hungry or when there's blood in the water.
Fang is slowly shaking her head.
It is much like how wolves in the wild very seldom hunt humans because humans are dangerous and they prefer to hunt deer. And in the wild, they very seldom kill more than they need to.
Ah,
They do not have the rage.
I see.
Yeah. I am so glad, she says, as soon as she is out of earshot of the fucking church,
Uh-huh.
that my kind does not have the rage. I don't know how I would deal with being angry all the time.
I would imagine that it has a lot to do with being in a in a position that I can only describe as the warriors of nature.
Their problem is that they neglect the mandates. They neglect the mandates of heaven. Their litany is reduced.
Hmm.
Fang will
I
nod at that and she'll say, "We thought that there was hope for them
I
long time ago, but they showed that they were willing to sacrifice their own rather than do what Gaia tells them to."
I thought I thought that all beings were um under the auspice of the mandate of heaven.
They are, but one must. Fang thinks about how to say this because she's been learning all kinds of new words and concepts since she moved in here.
We all
One
have
must
we all
go
have
with their
mandates
job.
specific.
One must
Oh,
go
sorry,
on.
you go first.
Yeah, Fang's going to say one must either go with their Joss or go against it. She says, repeating a phrase that someone said near her.
Hmm.
And when you go against your Joss, you're opposing your own mandate, and terrible calamities befall you.
I see.
Also, whilst we are all subject to the mandates, does not mean that we are all aware of the mandates which we should be subject to.
Mm-hmm. And even if we're aware, it doesn't mean that we choose to go along with it like the big stubborn people we are. That's why there are Nuisha. Sometimes to get somebody on the right path, you have to throw a few pies.
This is why the first of the mandates of heaven, at least for the kitsune, all breeds have their own variation, but the first of our mandates is to aid our brothers and our sisters in that which serves Gaia.
I wonder. I may be speaking. Um. I may be speaking in a broad sense, but I wonder if perhaps Gaia is a manifestation of the Emerald Mother herself.
Oh, indeed. She most definitely is. Gaia and the Emerald Mother are one and the same. They are simply two names for the same spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Just as Luna is the white-faced lady.
Hmm.
In fact, Coyote goes by many names.
Many spirits
As
go by many names, as do
yeah,
many people.
well,
This is why we
Fang's
gave
gonna
the game a deed name.
Fang's gonna look at the two of them, and she's gonna think about whether she's gonna say this, but then she decides to shrug her shoulders and go with it. After Coyote created his children, he wandered the earth, and he interacted with people all over the world. And these people gave Coyote new names, and those names have power. The men of the North called him Loki.
Hmm.
The people in the Caribbean called him T. Malice. The Egyptians called him Ta. The Irish called him Ogma. And she looks at Zhu, and the Chinese called him Chung Kel.
Spirits have many facets and many aspects, and it can be argued that all spirits are, to a degree, aspects of the greater nature of Gnosis and of the spirit realm. But that does not change the fact that we must deal with them on an individual basis.
Indeed. And feel free to get Spirit Lore 1 from that. Umbra Lore 1, I should say.
Out of character.
I'll
Out of
add it to your blue book.
Thank you. I wonder if you might do me the honor of having tea with me.
Fang thinks about that and says, I got nowhere else to be.
I have many duties in my office of lovers, but the best of them, most enjoyable at least, is in getting to know those of the other houses and enjoying time with them and vice versa.
I assure you, my lady, that the sentiment is indeed shared by myself. As a matter of fact, I wish to share an idea with you that I was thinking of proposing at the next council meeting.
Indeed, there is a great deal that you can expect to be on the agenda, but I would be happy to hear your idea ahead of time.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if I was allowed to, but if it wouldn't be a breach of the rules, perhaps just a sharing of ideas to promote thought.
Promoting thought, as long as it is not at the expense of action, is always a good thing.
Indeed. And
Fang will nod and say, you know what? I could go for a kebab.
I have no objection to this idea.
And because this is Hong Kong, and because why the heck not? There's plenty of street vendors.
No,
Yeah, there's street vendors around, so we can get kebabs.
And Rodger will offer a polite silent inquiry as to whether they would be comfortable with him offering to pay.
Fang smirks a bit and says, "If I paid, it'd be your money."
It is something of the way among the Hengyokai of the city to accept money that is freely given.
And he will happily pay for their lunch. And I guess they'll be finding a quiet spot to have tea.
Yep.
Um,
There's plenty of tea shops as well. There's the
And
one
even
we actually find one that has a small kabuki production as well.
with only Rage 3, I can probably get us a fairly private table.
ooh!
Yay. So we've got a fairly private table. Hey, here's the thing: is Fang doesn't need Rage 3 for it. Fang can just convince them.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I mean simply by the virtue of people preferring not to sit next to us.
um,
By the way, By the way, I should let you know you are affected by rage, but it's not a compulsion. It's just werewolves feel scary.
Although with supernaturals, it needs to be. Plus, it's based on your willpower.
Yeah, it's the rage doesn't with player characters. Rage isn't strong enough to force an action. It's just they feel kind of scary. That's all.
And also, I'm pretty sure that Rage 3 is lower than your willpower, so it's probably
Yeah.
not that bad with Shu.
I have Iron Will actually, so
Yeah. So with Iron Will, even if he was like willpower 4 and a human, he could probably resist delirium because that's an awesome freaking merit.
Oh, speaking of, I totally need to talk to you about delirium after this. So remind me about that.
Okay. No problem.
well, to sum up my idea, I would very much like to propose a project which would allow the creation of a joined series of laws for our United Supernatural Society. It is my intent, if the idea is approved in council, to meet and introduce myself to an appropriate member of each society and work towards combining each of their traditions into a series of laws which then can be ratified by the council. Um, in this way, it may help to avoid any future difficulties.
The Tarot Accord is such that it essentially is an agreement between the houses on certain behaviours. However, there is ample room for addendums.
Indeed.
You may wish to, rather than suggest the addition of laws, request that the members of the different houses educate you in their laws so that you can then put forward a motion once you have an idea of what in specific you would like to propose.
Well,
Fang smirks at that and says, "Just remember, good laws are flexible enough to be broken." He said, grinning.
to I suppose what I would be seeking is the permission to do that, as the final result would be a clearly defined and well balanced, hopefully, a well balanced um, formula that would encourage harmony between the factions.
Fang thinks on that and says, "Well, I'm new to the Hengi Yokai, but I can tell you all the laws of Coyote."
Thank you. Uh, as long as it wouldn't get you into trouble. Actually, that's
One of the best things about there only being 100 of us or so left, that we don't have any authority except Coyote to appeal to.
I actually this is why I would like to bring forward my idea to the council, so that the idea can be in the open and um, avoid any unintended uh, unintended stepping of toes.
She nods, and she's going to say, "Okay." And she's going to even look at Zhu and shrug a bit and actually go through all the laws. First law of Coyote: let all fools die foolish deaths. That means if one has ignored advice and ignored all lessons and still chooses to march blindly to their doom, there's nothing you can do for them. 2, teach all those who need teaching a proper lesson. You need to give a warning before Rule 1 applies. You need to be there to try to teach people to go back on the path. Rule 3, always prank the worm. Goes without saying. Rule 4, be subtle. Don't tell humans what the fuck you are. It's not good for business. Rule 5, respect Luna. Coyote tricked her, and we're making up for it, slowly but surely. And finally, Rule 6, think, then act. Don't. It may look like what we do is cause ridiculous, crazy mayhem completely off the cuff, but even when I stole a military jeep and then crashed it, that was completely with a purpose, and it was completely with a plan.
You what? And Rodger just laughs.
Fang grins and says, "Well, we're trying to make the People's Liberation Army have less power in the city so that the city father becomes less corrupted by it. So I embarrassed them by stealing their property right from their base and then getting away."
You do realise, assuming that that was the high-speed chase through the city, that it resulted in a 4-car pileup?
Bang blinks a bit and goes, "So I caused major traffic delays?"
There were some deaths and some injuries.
Oh. Ooh. I'm gonna have to go make some things up for some people. And Fang gets up and leaves.
She seems fun, if a bit cartoony.
Coyote are tricksters.
So it would seem. So it would seem. Mm.
But cunning is ever the appropriate application of it. Well, I say appropriate. An application of wisdom.
Mm. I have a feeling that Sun Tzu would definitely approve of that statement.
Quite likely. I know that the kitsune appreciate cunning as well.
Mm.
We have been known to play our own tricks on occasion. Although less than the coyote or the raven.
If you would pardon me, as there are still things that I do not yet know, having only been made aware. I think it's almost been a month or so now. What is a kitsune?
We all wear foxes.
Oh, and he again he gets a very genuinely interested look on his face. Actually, if you would like to do a perception empathy, please do so.
While the dice is loading, Ari, do you get the chat in the side or not?
Give me a moment. I was alt tabbed out.
That's okay.
Okay.
One success.
You see that he thinks of this, and it's not in a rude way or anything, but you can see he's holding himself back a bit. If to sum it all up, he's trying to stop himself from doing the "oh cute" heart eyes kind of a thing.
See, I thought he was trying to hold himself back from saying, "So does that make you a foxy lady?"
No, but although that might be in the background somewhere, but I mean, in all honesty, she's a very attractive young woman. So either way,
So yeah, he's holding himself back from saying something.
Yeah, but the problem is if he says she's a foxy lady, then Hendrix starts playing.
Yeah. Foxy.
He definitely wants to express something is what you get, but
yeah,
he seems nervous about expressing it.
She'll just wait for the emotion to either pass or for him to decide it's worth saying.
Though he does seem to give off a generally polite aura, I think his North Americanness will come out slightly, I guess, and he'll just say, "I do hope you'll understand that I mean this in a respectful way, but the idea of that strikes me as very adorable, and I can only imagine how cute that is."
Some of our forms are more suited for amusement than for battle.
Again, I meant no disrespect.
It's quite all right. The kitsune, as much as we fulfill many of the roles in any given Sentai, As a breed, we could be considered almost the pillars.
Hmm.
That we are not the most warlike, although our teeth are sharp when they need to be.
Hmm.
We are not the most humorous and interested in trickery, although we can choose to be. Our memories are long, but not so long as the Macaulay.
Macaulay?
The lizards.
The
I see.
big lizards, because there's other lizards.
I haven't. I don't believe I've had the honor of meeting one yet.
And though we are not so good at striking in the shadows as the Naga, we have our skills there as well.
Would I, with a
You
name
would
such,
probably be able to guess with Naga that it's something to do with snakes because Naga actually
yeah,
eat snakes.
that's actually what Roger was going to ask.
Mm.
With a name such as Naga, are are those some sort of a snake descendants?
Yes.
I see.
In short, Gaia has many children for many roles. And whilst we may not be the best at any of the more obvious roles, we are very good at understanding each of those roles and helping smooth matters along.
Please understand that when I say that the idea is cute, I merely meant that well, I've always rather liked nature, although it's only been recently that I've been able to um, experience it properly, as I spend a lot of as I've spent a lot of time in the more rural parts of Vancouver. I didn't really get to enjoy nature as as much as the average individual. So I've met many rare and wonderful individuals, and I am honored to have met you for what it's worth.
Thank you. I certainly think that you have interesting vision, and I hope that you are able to apply it to the council and help in moving things together so that we can hopefully work even more smoothly. I know I will be asking to speak on the matter of enchantments.
Has has something happened regarding that?
Well, there have been a few people who have mentioned that they've not always had the most choice in these matters, but I think generally the changelings mean well. So rather than attempting to punish them for these transgressions, it may be better to simply make it known that from here on it will be disapproved of heavily.
which enchantments do you refer to? You mean the active?
The act of enchanting that alters the vision and messes with the memory.
I wonder, in such a case, I I wonder if I might, if you'll pardon the expression, if I might play the devil's advocate, as an interesting thought has occurred to me.
Yes?
I think that with regards to the act of enchanting, this acts as a two-pronged approach. One is it helps them to protect their society, and asking them not to do that is tantamount to leaving the doors of a sept wide open, which no
I was
changer.
going to specify other members of the council without their permission.
The
Sorry,
second,
I should have been clear on that.
well, the second point I would like to offer, just for your consideration, is that in doing so, this allows them to present honestly, and if an individual can prove themselves to be wholly trustworthy, there may be other ways at their disposal to um, go further once the individual has proven themselves. After all, safety and security of the self and of the home is an inalienable right for all houses.
This is true.
I of course offer this with the greatest respect.
I do appreciate your feedback. Perhaps then merely reminding them that we are here to work together and that encouraging goodwill between the houses is always a good thing, and that they may wish to be more aware of the impact that they have on others.
A very wise adjustment, my lady. You have been very gracious to me with your time and with your compliments. If at any point you wish to speak to me again, and he'll offer you a card, I do hope you will call upon me. If you will excuse me, please. And he offers you a very polite bow, and he pays for the tea, and he quietly walks out.
And unless we have anything else, I think there the scene will end.